Oh my!
Oh
Oh,
my!
the adventures these kooky cats will get into.
What's side quest today?
What dad quests will these gents take on this evening? Will a kid interrupt their broadcast?
That is more of a threat now. Again, my high school student
Yeah.
is running upstairs. I can hear them, and they know the light is on downstairs in the basement.
Yeah. Do you have a recording light? That'd be pretty tight. Like a nice red flashing
I
bulb, like now
should do it.
recording. That'd be
I
pretty
should.
good.
I mean, they would play with it too when they're watching. He's really into One Piece, which is like 1,000 episodes of anime. So
I
he
heard
would
that's pretty
probably
good.
he'd turn on that light for sure. He'd be like, "Well, it's the One Piece light." So
That's not a bad thing, though. I think I know what I'm gonna get you
I
for Christmas. This is gonna be it's gonna be a Bluetooth recording light. Ah, so yes. All right. Let's get the show started because we are live. The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Each week, we try to show that just because you became a dad,
Does not mean it's game over.
and in fact, it's a party, Jeff.
It's a
Being a
party.
being a dad, being a gaming dad, it is nothing but a nonstop party. I might go as far to call it a jamboree.
Yeah.
And we are talking about the recent release of Super Mario Party Jamboree. So good friends at Nintendo sent Jeff and I over some codes, which, just always like to repeat it. It bears repeating that we do not review things we don't like.
Yeah.
And just happen to like this game. It's a simple, as opposed to some of the other Nintendo ones we've reviewed recently. So a Super Mario Wonder, for instance, which was
Right.
just so far and beyond what they had to do. It's not that they played it safe with this game, but however, it is a bit more. It's a bit more of the same, but
Yeah.
in a good way. Like this was a fantastic title. Myself and my kids adored it. Like playing it this time around. What was some of your thoughts off the hop?
It was a fantastic just improvement over the
Mm,
last one that I played. So I had the original Mario Party for Switch, and I think there was like a Superstar version that came out after that. But the original one had like way less boards. The mini games were
mm,
okay, right? They have usually a good mix, but these ones seem to like hit it out of the park. Way more boards and a
yeah.
lot less of the dialogue talking, right? I mean, like the first one would lead you through every single thing, like press the button again to go ahead, and you're like, I get it. I just let me fly, right?
Mm.
Like, so much better experience from my perspective. But what about you? Same or?
Yeah, great fun. Like I think my kids were a little bit resistant to play it at first because they'd been a bit
Oh,
more into like some action heavy type of stuff. But it's like, no, no, come and play this with your old man. This will be a blast. And then it
yeah.
was just on the floor rolling with laughter. Because of course the two of them gang up on dad and they're stealing all my coins and then my stars and they're smashing me in the gate. Like so it just ends up being this like silly fun. Everything within the Nintendo wheelhouse with that same type of polish Nintendo's always brings. It's just perfect. I think if anything, it's almost more. It feels like to me, it's a better game that for parents who want to say, I want to play something with my kids, but I'm not necessarily a gamer.
Right.
Like this is just something where it's like, even the grandparents, I think generally could understand the concept of this because it's like this game, you have to turn the controller very fast. That's it. And every single time they have the little practice thing.
Yeah.
So I'm taking some assumptions that everybody understands what Super Mario Party is. I tell you what, gaming. I'm not even going to try to explain. It's like, yeah, it's a gaming board. There's many games that you play as Mario. Try to get stars. It's competitive, fun mini games in Mario to try to beat a game board and have the most stars. Is that
Yeah. And
succinct? I really don't want to go into deep because I think people get it.
yeah, basically everybody had a Wii. All those little mini games that you did with the Wii, like grandma and grandpa would be out there with the Wii.
Mhm.
That's all this is. It just captures that into like, 30-second mini games.
Yeah, and the best part about it, what I've always loved with what they've done with it is, it's like they sat and they played with it and really understood the audience because there's always that little practice screen.
Yeah.
It's like so everybody gets to do as many rounds as they like and practice how exactly the little game's going to go, and the kids love that part because they want to do a couple rounds to make sure they can beat dear old dad, and then
Right.
everybody gets to start. So I mean, it's just Nintendo polish, Nintendo fun, fantastic title, and I think just really like truly the entire family. And I'm talking because you can get your kids to like it, a lot of fun moments, but I think you can get parents and grandparents into this too.
Yeah, for sure. And you can even play it solo. So they offer the bots as
Mm.
well. So the computer you can play against them and just have your own gaming session. You doing the mini games against the computer, which, sometimes they do. I swear they cheat, but,
Mm.
maybe I'm just not good at some of the mini games. But just of note too, for any gaming sessions, I really wish they would have a shorter playtime because you can pick how
Mm.
many turns the
Yeah.
board is, right? And the lowest one is like approximately 90 minutes, and you're like, oh my god, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, just a quick game before bed, right? Like, nuts.
It's a movie. We're playing a movie length. Yeah. So if there was there's like a mini game island, you can go and just play the mini games and have some fun.
Mhm.
But if they had a board game that was like, I even said that with the first one, just
Mm.
half that time, 45 minutes maybe, just one kind of loop around the board would be great. But just as a note for anybody that kind of sits down with their kids that don't know what they're getting into, it's like you're gonna be there for a bit.
Yeah,
Bring a pop.
yeah, don't do it. Don't do it 10, 20 minutes before bedtime because you are not
No,
going to finish the round unless you
no,
do it. But
definitely not.
even still, it just they've done it again. Like this is a fantastic title. I'm trying. I'm trying to think about like the core Switch games that you would own if you are a family that has a Switch. Mario Kart, no brainer.
Definitely. Yep.
And it kind of feels like this is getting in there because it's like family game night. Like why don't it's like look, I don't want you to get on your computer and just go into zombie mode with Roblox. Let's all get together instead and we'll play like Mario Party.
Yeah.
So for me this title is actually kind of raising up into one of those kind of must-haves with the Switch from a family perspective.
Absolutely. I even remember buying the first one because we were going over to cousin's house and we wanted to play something with the Switch. And this is the perfect game for that too. So if
Mhm.
your kids have, other siblings, cousins, whatever, it's great for them, or to get your own family involved. Again, you'll all have a blast as long as who you're playing with. So I would just warn it with like a birthday party where like they're friends, but maybe they're not good friends. This can get competitive. And if you
Yeah.
keep picking on the same person, like it's
There's
gonna get
gonna
a
be
little
tears.
testy.
There's gonna be some Mario tears. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, folks, definitely check it out. It's another solid one. The best entry of the series, as Jeff alluded to, and they've just continued to refine the formula that becomes incredible fun and truly a family title. And that's like what's
Yeah,
so great about it. So
definitely recommend.
Jamboree.
Jam-
Now, speaking party of folks going up against Ancient Lands to try to achieve a goal, let's talk about RPGs. Now,
Great.
and you had this, and the second that you mentioned this to me, I really wanted to talk about it because it really struck a chord. What was some of your thinking recently with RPGs?
So I was playing some pretty deep RPGs in the past. I even went back into some emulation and got the old Final Fantasies out. And I'm like, you know what? Some of these stories were really, really good.
Mhm.
And just experiencing what you can kind of, take the role of and morph your character and make those choices that impact the stories and get one of those endings and have this 20 to sometimes 80-hour journey on just being in this world and being immersed in something. And it's like
Mm.
reading a novel, right? So I'm like, you know what? My kids are older. They're definitely more in tune with, more complicated issues and stuff. It would be great if they could get into an RPG with me
Mm.
and, we could have conversations about, what's going to happen next. What happened with that character? Was he a traitor? Whatever. Right. So I kind of mentioned it offhand to my 14-year-old. No interest, Trevor. Nothing. Like
Just shut down immediately.
just basically no. Like you don't want to save the world from like a guy that, made a comet appear. Like a meteor is going to come and crash on this planet that you have to save. Would you like to join me? No.
You could choose your magic. You can choose your weapons. Like you can choose like your class. Like all the stuff you can do.
No, they are definitely not into the story element of things. They just don't seem to prefer it. And I
Mm,
remember at the ages that my kids are at now, I would have completed multiple
mm,
RPGs by this point. And it was one of those things that I just hold so dear to myself. Like, oh, that was
yeah.
such a great time, to sit down. And I would love to have shared it with my dad and my mom, like, and have them like actually interested in it because they were not gamers. They didn't know anything about it. I was just kind of off in my room with my friends and stuff, and that was it. Right.
Mm.
So to share that with them would have been kind of cool. And I'm not like giving up or anything, but it was just like the offhand, like, no. And then they prefer to, go online and do, quick games with their friends over dear old dad that wants to play an RPG and save the world together. No.
So that's the thing. Like that's what struck me so hard when you said it, because in given that their entry point into games has been, first, geez, like Mario Kart, and then for myself it was Rocket League, and then eventually like Minecraft, like these like
Yeah.
more just vastly different things. And now that like they've gone down the Roblox rabbit hole, the thought that
Yeah.
they're going to spend time like, 40, 60, 80 hours in a slow build story and read as these characters like dialogue about like what's going on in the world, and they start to consume the lore and understand things. It's just like, damn, I don't think there's any chance that these RPGs survive. I'm trying to imagine at any point my kids playing one. Like the closest I would say was like Phoenix, or Rise of Phoenix, like the
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was like an action RPG, right?
yeah, but
Kind of.
it's an action RPG. But at very least, there was kind of like this throughput of a story,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which so like that to me was sort of like, okay, so like you're one character, and like you can see the kind of how cool it is when you level up things, and then this one story like comes to a climax, and like everything kind of resolves. Like imagine if that was much slower
Right.
and it was done turn by turn, and it took you like 60 hours. I
Yeah.
I just don't know that this is a genre. I think this genre dies with us. Like I have a really hard time imagining younger generations getting into these type of affairs.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. And it also boggles my mind too with just again, I think of my kids when they helped me through like Elden Ring, right? And even Dark Souls, and they were
Mm,
into lore videos on YouTube and would just watch 60-minute videos on the lore of this world. I'm like, you know what that is? That is a
mm,
story you could play in an RPG and learn about it as you play and affect the lore as you go along. No interest there, but we'll watch somebody else talk about, the ideas and
mm.
concepts and themes. So it's just like it doesn't connect for me. And it's one of those things like, oh, I can't fault them for wanting to be, with their friends and do all these quick games that they hold special to their heart now. But it hurts me, Trevor. It's just like one
Yeah,
of
I
those things
know.
like, oh, I was really
It's
hoping you just gravitate towards that and we would just have a thing and I just have to work at it, I think, a little bit more and just, when you like feed your kids vegetables and they don't know, like maybe feed them an RPG and they don't know, like
no, you cannot have this action online action game until you beat Final Fantasy 3.
right.
Like, you have to earn it. Gosh
Yeah.
darn it.
Yeah.
Oh, Dad, I hate these. No, dodge the lightning 1,000 times.
Right, yeah.
Then then you can have a dessert.
That's right.
Yeah, I maybe we'll be proved wrong. I'd like to think so. It's just, again, like the games we grew up on, slow plotting, like I could over challenging. Like so, honestly, legitimately, like the games we grew up on were just too hard,
Yeah, they
right? Like
were. Yeah.
they were geared for the old quarter mentality of like I need to kill this player because I want to get quarters
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than it was like let's like have a good time. So, some good things have died with gaming where things have gotten better, but this might be the one. But we'll see. Time will tell. It's just hard to imagine, and it is so incredibly sad because yeah, much it depends on where like your gaming upbringing. Because you and I shared a similar one where it's like deep in the world of Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger and these other amazing titles.
Yeah.
Our kids are growing up on Roblox and like Minecraft, and a lot of kids getting into this Fortnite. It's hard to imagine though that generation, you know, de-stressing and coming down into a very quiet, slow burn of an RPG.
Again, one of my favorite games is Witcher 3, and I will never they'll never have that experience ever. But it's like, again, like you were saying, they have a different lens, and I can't fault them for the games that they're playing,
Mm.
right? It's just like, I understand it, but it
I think
still is painful. And we have to carry this torch, Trevor.
there
Like,
we go.
we
We
have
had
to
to buy
support the industry.
we had to buy so many RPGs.
That's
I think
right.
I think action RPGs, I think there's something there. Because again, my kid really enjoyed Phoenix Rising. And
Yeah.
I believe in the fact that yours was in or tangentially into Elden Ring. I think that's
Yeah.
helpful because that's RPG adjacent,
It
right?
really is. Yeah, I mean, mixed in with like watch dad die again.
Yeah,
Um
that's always just a good time.
versus story elements. And again, like my kids have played through Final Fantasy VII remake, but again, would skip all
Mm,
those cutscenes and everything. But if they want to watch dad in a Dark Souls game and read up on the lore, and then I kind of slowly merge them in, right?
hmm.
Maybe that, again, like feeding them broccoli when they don't want it. Just
You just that's
hiding
why
it
you
in
cut the
pizza
broccoli
or
so
something.
fine, and then dip
Right.
it with the pasta sauce and add cheese.
Yeah.
It's like, "This is good. Did you know that it had some broccoli?" Blip, 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 blip. I hate
Yeah.
this. I hate you, Dad.
Complete side note. I'm
Uh,
gonna go off tangent here, but you like conjured up a
yeah.
memory. Again, we're talking old RPGs and what kind of
Yeah,
spoke
yeah,
to
yeah.
us. I introduced my kids to Cheese Whiz
Oh my goodness.
just
Oh,
just out of
no.
just out of experiment. Just like, hey, do you know about Cheese Whiz? And of course, they've never had like a
Do
Kraft
you know
single cheese
Cheese
in their
Whiz?
life. Nothing, right?
Oh my
So I'm like,
god.
okay, try this out. Did not go over well.
Of course it didn't. It's yellow
No, but
plastic. Which, by the way, you need to describe Cheese Whiz to our American and foreign listeners.
right. So it's basically like plastic cheese in a jar, right? And it's just, it doesn't taste like cheese. There's like cheese chemical taste to it. And you can spread it over toast, or you can put it in some bread of other sorts, or dip, celery sticks in it, right? You can have a little snack. But it is definitely not good for you in any way.
It's
Um,
so it's like if it was you take the hamburger cheese, like like American cheese, like the plasticky cheese you melt on it,
yeah,
but then you melt it all together into a jar and add a bit more chemicals into it so that it works like a peanut butter. That's Cheese Whiz.
right.
And
Yes.
it is a Canadian what would you call it? Acquired taste. Let's call it that.
Yeah, it's definitely like if it was fed to you when you grew up, you acquired that taste
Yeah.
for lunches that you were at school. But yeah, my kids definitely did not have the taste for it. No, nor should they. But it was just a fun experiment
Oh,
too.
that's yeah. My kids have become aware of craft dinner. So
Oh yeah,
macaroni
yeah,
and cheese.
yeah.
Now that still tastes good. I'm so like this just
Oh, it does. Yeah, my kids eat it all
objectively
the time.
delicious. It's awful,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
darn tasty. And they a few times upon grocery shopping have asked for it. And it's kind of getting to the point where it's like I know I shouldn't say yes, but I also want it.
Yeah.
So it's one of the, I'll tell you what, this weekend, if we remember, we'll come back, we'll do like lunch of like craft dinner. And we'll drive your mother nuts.
Once in
We'll
a
have
while, it's fine.
yeah,
Dad said I could have it.
we'll have some neon craft dinner.
Yes.
Gaming dads, do you have any food related things that you'd like to write into about, or what is your thoughts on RPGs and the youth? Do you think it's going away with us? We'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. Now, something from our youth, again, that I was initially excited about and then became very upset about very quickly was The Simpsons.
Mm,
So The Simpsons is the entire catalog, I think, is on Disney Plus.
I believe so. Yeah.
And my kids had come across it, and it's like, hey, can we watch this? And for a while, I'd forgotten about it. Where it's in the sense of like, I watched Simpsons when I was younger. I can't remember the exact age when I started,
Yeah.
but it's like, man, it'd be kind of fun to watch this stuff again. And then, and damn it, if the first episode wasn't absolutely perfect that I watched with them. So it's the one where Homer loses his hair.
Okay, yeah.
sorry, that's dumb. He grows back his hair.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
he forges like a document, gets hair back. And the whole thing's funny. It's great. The very final scene, he's lost all his hair, and Marge is comforting him in bed, and he says, no one's gonna think I lost my high paying job. I can't buy the things I was gonna promise my kids, and you're not gonna love me as much because I don't have my hair. And then
Right.
Marge sits there and like slowly soothes him. And it's like, look, your job is always put food on the table. The kids will like move on and like they know you're a great dad. And it's like I always think, and then she proceeds to sing like "You Are So Beautiful" to me. And it's like
Right.
that is so sweet, man. It's like, all right, Simpsons, they're gonna do all right. And it's like, okay, we'll watch another episode. Jeff, the amount of sex in the next episode was just like the parental roller coaster I went on from. It's like, oh, look how wholesome this is. Like it's like a cartoon. It's funny. It's a little adult, but it's not such a problem, and a cool message at the end of it. Everything kind of worked out. It had a nice one.
Right. Yeah. Did you
Next
pump it up
episode,
too? You're like, this is such a great show, blah blah blah. And then the next episode, you're like,
it's
okay, so
so
everything I said, take back. Just put it on pause.
it was so lurid. The next episode, it's like, man, and I remember that recalled the other episodes where Grandpa Simpson produces a libido drink.
Yeah.
And he's like screaming, like, the amount of sex you think about me when you're having the best sex of your life. And it's just like, all right. Like, this is a whole genre of stuff we can't be discussing with a 7 and a 9-year-old. So looks like Simpsons out of the house now. And they got a taste for it. And I introduced it to them.
You
They're like,
did.
yeah, we like the Simpsons. And it's like, you can't yet. You just can't yet. You need to give it some time.
Yeah, it's either you go all in and you have conversations after each episode where you unpack the themes. You're like, okay, so this one's outdated. This one was talking about stuff that we can talk later. This one, health and safety. But it's like one of those things that I have watched Simpsons with my kids, but I did handpick the ones because it was like, there's like the Halloween of Horrors, which is just it's violent, but it's cartoon violent, whatever.
Those are
And
always
then
great.
some funny ones, right? Like a lot to do with Mr. Burns. Like I find that just hilarious, and money fights and stuff, just funny stuff, right? So if you go like episode to episode, there are definitely some questionable ones, and you're like, I'm not sure that. I mean, I was exposed to it. You were exposed to it.
Yeah.
Like, do we need to? I don't know. I don't know.
It's almost like you need to. It's almost like Simpsons. Every episode needs its own special parental rating,
Yeah,
right? Where it
really does.
It's like you can watch all this entire series of videos if you if you're these you can watch with your kids. These you can watch, with teenagers. This you watch alone with your wife. It's like there's like 3 versions of The Simpsons.
You can put that out to the parents out there. You can, like Trevor's Guide to watching 25 seasons of The Simpsons.
An episode by episode breakdown.
That's right.
Anyways, so Come and Gone, never again. We'll have to wait till they're what's the appropriate, like 12? Is 12 appropriate?
I remember watching it when I was pretty young. It came out in what, like 92, 93 maybe? So I was probably 10, 11.
So I was gonna say, like, we'd be like 10.
Yeah, and I remember my parents didn't like Eat My Shorts out of all things. They didn't stick around for the episode though.
The other part, I don't like all this short eating that's being suggested here.
Like, I buy those clothes and clothes cost money, like that kind of vibe to it.
Wow.
But yeah, they didn't stick around, and there's a lot in there that I would never go to my parents with. But I know I'm really open to my kids. I'm like, hey, you have questions? Like, we could talk about this stuff. What's totally unrealistic of The Simpsons? Like, both parents will have a job, sweetie. I'm sorry. This doesn't exist anymore. Them owning a house with this many bedrooms, sorry.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen for you.
2 cars.
Yeah, one income, and like kids can do whatever they want. Yeah, I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
but it's great, good for you. Maybe pick another nostalgic show and report back. I just want to be. What's another good one? Maybe Futurama. No better. Don't do that.
No, not better than the slightest. That's even worse.
No.
We'd have to find something age. I just said 10 sounds like about the right age. Always, That's 3 years for my youngest until they're old enough to be able to take it in. But I was so close, man. It was going to be fantastic. I was looking forward to going back through the old episodes. That's a great tip, though. I like the Little Shop of Horrors, like Halloween episodes,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
those are
You know what to get.
always just dumb. In a good way. Like, that's fantastic. Oh yeah. Hey, gaming dads, are you into The Simpsons? When did you let your kids watch it? Write to us, let us know at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. Now, a little bit surprising. So, a game that I adore, Balatro,
Right.
you kind of bounced off of. So, Balatro, a rogue-like poker game, you could almost call it, in the sense that you're trying to get poker hands. You get a bunch of silly level ups and modifiers to produce crazy hands, and just completely like replayability. Like, there's multiple different like decks and things you can do. Anyways, I absolutely adored it. It's a fantastic game. I really enjoyed the game. I should not say it's like trying to be better about saying it's a fantastic game, because that's subjective. I really enjoyed. No, tell you what. No, I'm gonna go back on that.
No, I take that back. You know what?
No, I understand that you don't like it, but you would not say it's a bad game.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right? So that's where
It's
that's
just-
like I will stand by it. No, it's a great game. I
Yes.
enjoyed it a bunch, but you kind of fell off of it. And you actually said it's because the poker thing, which I was surprised, because I didn't really feel that to be much of a requirement.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, again, this is one that I've been looking at for a while. Everyone said it was all the rage. You've said it was great. I went in, like, I know it's about poker, but not really about poker, right? It's like you said, deck building. So I'm like, oh, maybe I could try it. So I got like some Apple Arcade freebies, right? So it's no cost. I'm like, okay, I'll jump in and see. I feel the poker in it. And I'm just
feels like so much poker.
I'm not into poker. So like I even just the cards themselves and building the decks where you have to do poker things like the blind and what a full house is and four of a kind and all that stuff. Like, you have to know it, right? And I do I know the basics, so I'm not that great at it. And I won the first round or whatever after the tutorial, and then I didn't get a good feeling from it. So if you're not into poker, don't think that this will change your mind. And I didn't expect it to. It's just and I can see good elements in this. I can see where it's going, and I see if you like deck builders, and even if you just like poker and don't know if you like deck builders, this could be a great game for you, right? This could be something that you really sink your teeth into. And if you have Apple Arcade, it's included, right? So definitely go down that path and experience it. But if you're just not into poker, or maybe I'm not into deck builders, maybe that's what it was, but I don't know. I bounced off it. I could see it's a good game, but it didn't work for me.
Man, that's fair. Like, it's not going to be for everybody. Like, not every game is going to suit. It was just more. I'm kind of curious to hear what other gaming dads have. How they're feeling. I'll say this: it's one of those like bubble things, I suppose, too. Because every time I hear somebody talk about it, it's like, oh, I've lost so many hours, or like my bathroom breaks are now like 2 hours long, like because I get stuck in the Balatro. Yeah. So if anything, it's almost kind of nice to hear a dissenting view, where it's like, nah, it's not. I get it, I can appreciate it, but it's just not my bag per se.
Yeah, no, and I do love the aspect of, I don't think there's any microtransactions, right? You buy it all with in-game currency that you earn. Yes. So that is great.
Like, it's a one-time purchase. I think free updates is what they've kind of stated, and it's you see what you see is what you get.
Yeah, because you could see like right away when you have to buy packs from the shop. I'm like, oh god, like all this is going to cost money, but they didn't, which I will commend them for, because that is a very easy route, right? And again, if you bank on people not being addicted, but like really liking this game and want to progress, you could easily make that paywall, right? Like, that's right there.
Yeah, it's just like you lose this run unless you pay $1.
Right, yeah.
It's like you can get this extra Joker, but you have to like use some in-game currency.
Yeah, I did like that part with the buffs. Again, no money, but you could have buffs associated with like, oh, it increases the luck of the draw or whatever. And I saw some of that element kind of come through, and then I got lost and like, okay, it's becoming complicated. And maybe again, I just didn't give it a complete fair shake, but I did a few rounds, and I'm like,
Eh,
again, great game for what it is.
hey,
I wasn't following.
good to hear dissenting view. Then I'd like to build a transition. I'll throw this out as no, it's always like a cliffhanger hanger for the next episode as to what happens. But
Mm.
like, so I'm speaking of card games we don't like. Is I might be done with Marvel Snap, and yeah, it was sort of surprising to me too. I'm not sure how I feel about it either. It's almost like I want to keep poking at it. There was the realization has dawned upon me. It's like, so I used to like Magic the Gathering. Like I played that when I was in high school, the actual like physical cards though.
Right, yeah.
And it was a blast. I really loved that because it's like my buddy would have some decks and I had some decks and like, oh, I'm gonna play a dinosaur. It was like, oh, I played a vampire. Haha. And it was great, right? And I started to get into Magic Online when it released. Free to play game as well, but it's like gotcha mechanics, like it's trying to get your money. It's microtransactions.
Right.
And fine. I mean, you can just be a free player though. You can just like grind it away and try to have a good time. But the thing that struck me with it is just like I don't know what's happening. Like I don't know what's going on. Like there's all these effects. There's all these cards. It's like, oh, well, this is like a tarot curse. That's not like a normal. It's like, what is it? What are you talking about? It's like, well, that this happens to this mana, and just the depth of knowledge you had to have of all
Mm,
the cards and of all of the abilities that would happen, right?
right.
And I think the sweet spot I hit with Snap is when I started. Have I been playing for like a year? I suppose
It's got to be close to that, right?
let's call it a year. Like it had been out for a while, but still somewhat young and young enough that I actually kind of knew all the cards. I can't like write them down, but I had a general sense of what all the cards were. Then I also could even recognize the archetypes in that. Okay, this
Mm,
is a destroy deck. They're going to try to destroy their cards and get stuff back to life. This is a discard deck. This is a ongoing. Like I piece them all together.
right.
What was which has been, I suppose, in a way, like I'm almost like defeating myself. What has been self defeating for myself is that every season, and there's been like I don't know if they've ramped it up recently, but every month there's another season, and there's more cards. There's usually at least like 3 to 6 cards, and it's like okay, so
Wow.
at this clip, there's going to be just an unbelievable number of cards in the next year, and it's just I'm going to have to memorize everything. Like it just started. It seems like if anything, I sort of liked it because it was contained. It's like, okay,
Mm,
look, there's some 150 cards. You can kind of get the sense of what they are, and you can play. And now it's like, okay, well, now there's 400 cards, and we've introduced 2 new abilities that you all have to keep on top of. And it's just, it's one of those dawning moments of like, I don't know, I want to spend the time and keep up with this. Like, it's
well, yeah, when it becomes work, I think you kind of lose the sight of, oh, why am I doing this? I was having fun and now it seems like work. So if they don't, it seems like a fatal flaw to some of these card games to just add and add and add,
mm,
where if they don't have like proper, maybe there's like, Snap Light or like a
mm,
matchmaking process that cuts down half the cards because you just want, I can only know 30 to 60 of these instead of 400. Just let me
yeah.
play it, right?
I have to think that's probably where they get to because on Magic the Gathering, which is incredibly like Marvel Snap is new. Magic the
Hmm.
Gathering is some 30, 40 years old, right? So um in the online version, there are like um I don't want to call it leagues, but you can say, okay, I want to play like classic or I want to play like third variation or whatever. So you can actually play within leagues that only have certain cards.
Okay, yeah. All
Which, as I
right.
say out loud now, it's almost like maybe maybe I go back to Magic and then pick one of those old ass versions and only stick within. Okay, I am only going to stick within this so I can learn the cards and not have to learn anything new. Man, that sounds like a fantastic challenge for the week.
That does sound like just even a fantastic thing when you play Snap. You're like, oh, it'll just bring you back to Magic.
There we go.
It'll just take the time, but you'll come
Uh,
back.
I'm sure, and this isn't as we discovered in the last episode. I'd realized that what I was saying is like, oh, for us gaming dads. And that's not fair because there's some gaming dads that we interact with that are unbelievable at games.
Yeah,
This
oh,
this
for
is not
sure.
a dad problem. This is a Trevor problem. It's just like because I don't seem
You
to have
with
the mental
me.
acuity to keep on top of these things.
Yeah.
So I'll keep folks posted. It's sad because I was streaming it. I had a fantastic time. I met some really awesome folks on Twitch as I was streaming Snap. So it's kind of that's not it's kind of funny to say. Like it's sad. Like, it feels a bit sad. It's like, oh, like I was really enjoying this, and I sort of don't. It's not like I don't like where it like I know it just feels like I know where it's gonna go, and it's just gonna kind of go beyond me from what
Yeah.
I'd be willing to put in.
Well, replace with Magic and go back to your streaming group and be like, all right, come on over.
We're playing old school because it's all we know. Gotta find it, and that's why I need some sort of deck builder that has like we have 60 cards, and we will only have 60 cards. Like that is all we'll ever build.
Sounds like we need to build a game and
There
just
we
have
go.
it. Will call it 60 cards.
60
We'll make it
cards.
very easy.
What's that? It's a wizard.
It's
Does he have
that's
abilities?
all you need
No.
to know.
Lightning. Well, it's a dragon. Look at him. He's powerful.
I think this could be a hit. I mean, we have an audience, at least us.
Yeah, at least us. Yeah, you, the great lover of deck builders.
Oh,
Yes,
totally. I know what I'm talking about.
like you would give up it on a month. You'd be like, "Oh, I don't like that." Yeah, like it's been fun to build this, but it turns out I don't like deck builders.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I
this
don't
deck
like what
builder
I
we
do,
built.
Trevor.
So this deck builder we built for 2 is now 1 short.
Uh,
Oh, everybody, hey, that'll wrap it up for this week. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you like the show, you can find us on all the podcasting networks: Google, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, anywhere we cast or wherever you find your podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. You do find us on there. Really helps out if you can give us a subscription, a rating, and a comment. Helps blast us out to all the other gaming dads out there. If you want to get contact to the show, you can find us on our socials at New Dad Gaming or through our website, newdadgaming.com. If you have any comments, show ideas, gaming stories, dad stories, anything, we absolutely adore interacting with fellow gaming dads. Reach out, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Until next week, everybody, thank you so much for listening. My name is Trevor, and I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old.
and I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old, 11-year-old, and I'll just live in the 90s and live like
Let's go.
play old RPGs and watch old Simpsons and have old card decks. So
Going on back.
that's
All right,
right.
everybody. Remember, everybody, just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.
All right, see you next week.
See you later.